So when I decided to revisit Queen 1 with the Queen 1 box set out, I was going to call the tracks Revisited, but I forgot that Doing Alright actually has a Doing Alright Revisited. So this is Doing Alright Revisited, but not the song Doing Alright Revisited. It's the... just stay tuned. PLD Projects presents Crown Jewels. I'm your host, PLD, and I beg your pardon this week. I do have a little bit of laryngitis, a little bit of a frog in the throat. We're going to work through it and try to get through it as best I can. Hopefully it's not too annoying for you. So as I mentioned in the beginning, Queen 1 box set. We are now headlong into that. We have paused the Flash Gordon soundtrack and gone back all the way to 1973 via 2024 because Queen 1 Collector's Edition box set has come out. And we have new versions to listen to see if any of them can take out what we originally placed as the crown jewel or best version of the track. That's right, that's what we're doing. We're going through the entirety of the Queen catalog, song by song, trying to figure out which version of the song is the titular crown jewel, the best version, so we can put it into our ultimate playlist. We've made it all the way through to Flash Gordon, but here we are back at Queen 1. Now, unlike our usual episodes, I'm not going to be getting into any notes or quotes or anything like that. There is the original episode of Doing Alright. You can go back, listen to that. You can hear me detail everything. We're just concentrating on the new versions. But to give you a recap on the previous rankings, here we go. The last version was the Queen and Adam Lambert live version. In fact, I don't think I even rated that last time because it is just a snippet. It's not the full song. They did it as Bohemian Rhapsody came out, and that was a featured track in the movie. Definitely the least favorite of the versions there. From there, we had the Smile demo, which is this is where the track originally came from, as written by Brian May and Tim Snaffel, the pre-Queen band. The Smile version was here. From there, I had the Amigo version, which is Tim Snaffel's solo album in 2003. Him and Brian May actually got together for a couple of tracks, including Doing Alright. A very fun version that one was, but not my favorite. From there, I went up to the revisited version, which was the version on the Bohemian Rhapsody soundtrack that featured Roger on the first verse, Tim on the second verse, and some of it, and Brian on the third verse. And of course, there was some mixture between the original Smile demo and some new recorded stuff in 2018. That's the revisited moniker. Kind of a cool thing, and definitely a nice, unique thing to put on the soundtrack for sure. From there, I had the album version, and then my titular crown jewel of Doing Alright was the BBC session from February 1973. Much better drum sound than the Queen 1 mix. Well, I should say from the Queen mix in 1973. But also, I really liked the fact that Roger had sung the second verse, or the last verse, rather. Freddie sang the beginning, Roger sang the end, and it was kind of a nice mixture there. But where do we fit in the new tracks, the new versions? Well, we're going to listen to all four new versions that are on the box set, which is the 2024 mix, the backing track, the Trident Take 1 with guide vocal, and a live version from San Diego Sports Arena, March 12th, 1976. And how are we going to listen to it? Well, you look in the show notes, you will see a Google Sheet link. Go to that Google Sheet link. You'll see links to YouTube versions of the four new versions, as well as the original album version, because we want to compare the original and the 2024 mix, and of course the BBC session, because that was my original crown jewel. So without further ado, I'm going to have you pause me, go to that link, and let's listen to the album version and the 2024 mix, and then we'll come back and I will talk about it. And welcome back. Now, if you remember me talking about this previously, Queen really didn't like the mix from 1973 from Trident Studios. They were placed in kind of an awkward situation. They had to do record at downtime. They had to record how Trident had it set up. And Roger really didn't play his own kit. It was really unfortunate for them at the time, but they were kind of a new band. They didn't really have much say. They tried to do their best to things out. Like Night Comes Down, they actually snuck in another demo from a previous session at the Day Lane Lay Studios, which I liked better. It was really kind of a mess, and they've been long wanting to do something with it. This was their chance, and they went back. They totally remixed it, not just remastered it, they remixed it, punched up the drum sound as best they could, punched up some of the guitar sounds as well, and it sounds a lot different. Some people love it, some people hate it. There is some controversy over pitch correction that was used. I know it's blasphemous to have pitch corrected Freddie's voice. I agree to a degree, but I don't really hear it as much as other people. Perhaps my ears are just a little older, and it doesn't quite pierce my my oral senses as much as it does some others. But I understand. I understand why some people don't like it or are upset by it. But I'm here to say that I enjoyed the 2024 mixes overall. And specifically, let's get into this song now. I do think the piano actually sounds a little muddier. It's almost like too loud in the beginning, kind of a little bit cloudy. And the bass is actually a little overpowering in the beginning. I think that John's bass is really up loud. It kind of has this kind of, not feedback sound, but this fuzz that kind of extrapolates over everything a little bit to me for the beginning. The drums, though, are much cleaner. I know some people think it sounds a little more too modern, perhaps, although I kind of think, in my own head, I think that because they sound different than the original, than what they're used to hearing for 40 on years, almost 50 on years now, it might sound more modern because it sounds different. I'm not sure. I think they sound powerful. I kind of like them. The acoustic guitar, much crisper in this one. I think I hear a lot more of that, of Brian's acoustic strumming in that, or picking rather. It's really, you can hear the individual notes that comes out better. And the power section, this is where this mix really rocks. It really kicks in. The section is loud, proud, and out there. I do like the 2024 mix just a smidge bit better. I can understand why somebody wouldn't, but in my ears, I'm going to take the powerful 2024 mix over the 1973 mix. Your miles may vary. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, let's listen to the next track, the next version of the track. It's going to be the Trident Take 1 with guide vocal. That's right, we got the Queen 1 sessions, which is the highlight of the box set, by the way. I never smiled like for an hour just listening to them chattering in the studio, having fun with each other, this young, hungry band, and got some early versions of the songs where they were. So let's listen to that one now. Pause me, find Trident Take 1 with guide vocal, come back and I'll talk about it. And there you have it there. That's the Trident Take 1 with guide vocal. I love the chatter in the beginning, and that's my favorite part of the versions, actually getting to hear them interact. Feel like you're right there in the studio with them as they're creating these masterpieces, as you were. Very different version. I got to say right away, obviously it says guide vocal right in the title. So you know it's not Freddie doing his best. Freddie's not like going for a take. It's basically just so that the band has something to go by. Freddie's probably taking it easy. He's just kind of taking it easy, and it shows. I mean, the guide vocal is very breathy, haunting. It's actually kind of an interesting version, especially goes in the higher parts. That doing all right. Can't even sing. I can't even talk. I'm trying to sing. But at the same time, it lacks dynamic. Like, there's none of that, like, up and down and, like, falsetto way to that rocking section. It's all the same thing because, again, it's not supposed to be a finished take. It's just a guide vocal. So you know what it is when you hear that. But the more interesting part of this version is that instead of the piano, no piano, we get Brian doing the whole thing acoustically. And that's the whole song. The beginning piano is done acoustically, and even the rocking section is done with him strumming an acoustic guitar. Makes for a totally different sounding song. And it's very cool to hear. Otherwise, it is what it is. It's not like, it doesn't sound like it's a whole lot different. Obviously, they've been playing this since the Smile era, and the versions are pretty similar overall as far as the dynamics go, as far as the music dynamics go. But it is an acoustic version, so it's kind of cool. I like it. I like it a lot. So, all right, let's go into the backing track. Just for your karaoke pleasure, just to hear the version without Freddie on lead vocals. It's pretty cool to hear. Listen to it. Come back for more. And welcome back. That is the backing track. Again, these aren't very much different. These are exactly what they're supposed to be, just the backing track. What I do get out of it, listening to these, though, sometimes is hearing some things you don't get to hear very often. And the two things I specifically want to point out for this version, I love hearing the final acoustic part without the vocals. I mentioned the acoustic part for them to try and take one. That was more acoustic. And I know the acoustic guitars are a part of the song. They've always been a part of the song. However, without the vocals, it gets more prominent. You get to follow along more. And I think actually made me realize that it's actually more important than I even at first thought. The acoustic is really kind of like the bed of the song, so to speak. There's a lot going on with just the acoustic. I mean, sure, the rock and guitar comes in for the power chord section and everything else in the other jam session, but the acoustic is actually far more prominent throughout the song, and it's very nice to hear on its own. Speaking of that, also when you don't hear Freddie sing, John has some great movements with his bass. It's very fluid. He does a lot of sliding up and down, and you don't really notice it as much when Freddie's singing over the top of it. So it's a nice texture that I think when Freddie's voice is there, you still hear it. It's kind of like surrounds his voice, but without Freddie's voice, you get to actually hear it a little bit more. So it helps us actually go back listening to the original version after listening to the backing track. You can pick out these things and actually get a better listen to the song overall. Queen's a layered band. That's what they do. So, all right, I got one more version to listen to from the box set live in San Diego, 1976. The first official live version release. I think I listened to a previous live version here, but it was a bootleg, not great quality. This is a official release from 1976. It's in that sheet. Click on it. Come back for more. My life was in ruin. And welcome back. Okay, the first thing I gotta say, I will admit right off the top of the bat, they did use the AI or whatever to create the fake stereo sound. But I don't mind. I think it still sounds great. Some people get prickly about that, so I want to be up front about that. I love this live version. It's really kind of cool to hear. You got Brian's wandering minstrel guitar parts playing in the beginning. He's kind of like searching out what he wants to do as Freddie's kind of playing along. Freddie's voice is in good form, unlike mine tonight. He's stretching out the song. He's letting it breathe a little bit. He's kind of playing with some phrasing a little bit, letting it breathe. He's playing with the audience. He gets very playful right before the rocking section. He starts playing with the audience, doing that Freddie thing, which by 1976, of course, he was actually far more confident than he was back in 73. So it's amazing how these songs kind of have built up from there. The band's definitely playing it at a faster tempo than the album version. And the rocking section, wow, it roars. It roars here. It's powerful. It's driven. It's pounding. It's thundering. And even better is that session at the end. They kind of extend that a little bit. Brian goes off on his guitar. It really has this nice little moment in there for him. It's a really great version. Probably one of the highlights of the box set. Getting to hear this. I've heard the bootleg versions of different of doing all right, like live on tour, but hearing it nice, pretty crystal clear, I really thought it was a nice addition to the box set. So, alrighty, that is going to do it for the tracks we're going to listen to this week. So let's get into our rankings. This isn't going to change the numerical ranking on a scale of 1 to 11. It's still going to be a 9. But let's get into the versions. Let's rank the different versions. Still on the bottom, that's that Queen and Adam Lambert live version. Again, more of a snippet than anything else, not a full version. Next up from that, that's where I put the backing track. Backing tracks are fun to listen to once or twice and pick some stuff out. But as far as being the best version, they're never going to be the best version. Up from that, we got Smile Demo because, it's a demo. It's not a great sound quality. It's a leaked demo. It's not an officially released demo. And it's fine, but I give me Freddie over Tim most of the time, to be honest with you. Tried and Take One with guide vocals where I put the next one because it is a guide vocal. It's Freddie, but it's not really Freddie. It's Freddie just kind of guiding us through. Very interesting version. I'm really glad we got it because I'm really glad we got to hear the acoustic stuff. But as far as it goes, I definitely want, for a crown jewel, for the best version of the track, I want to hear the full version of the track, So that's why, though, I put the Amigo version with Tim Staffel above it. Tim Staffel and Brian May duet on that. It's not Freddie, but it is kind of a very cool take on it. Up from that, we got the revisited version with Roger and Brian both singing it. Kind of a cool, fun version. And from there, we get the album version, which means, of course, like I said, the 2024 mix is over the album version. That's what's next. So then it comes down to our final two. Which one is our crown jewel? Is it still the BBC session? Is it Andrew Winter is And Still or And New? And in this case, ladies and gentlemen, fans around the world, Winter and New crown jewel. Taking out the BBC session from February of 1973. It's the live at San Diego Sports Arena, March 12th, 1976. I did struggle with this a little bit. You know, if you've listened to me at all, you know how much I love hearing Roger sing, especially when I love hearing Freddie and Roger sing. It's like a duet in different parts of the song. I get to hear both my favorite vocalists there. So it's always going to be hard to change that. But man, that live version with the rocking out jam session at the end, the playful Freddie with the audience, Queen live was really a different beast at times. And this is definitely no exception. So new and improved, crown jewel for Doing All Right will be live at San Diego Sports Arena March 12th. 1976. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us this week here on Crown Jewels. Thanks for revisiting Doing All Right with me this week. Next week, Great King Rat with another 4 versions from the Queen 1 box set, the 2024 mix again, the Day Lane Lay Demo 2024 mix, the Day Lane Lay Take 1 with guide vocal from the Queen 1 Sessions disc, and the backing track. We'll see if they can knock out the Crown Jewel BBC December 3, 1974. That's next week, though. If you like this, hit the like, subscribe, let me know what you feel. Leave comments, leave reviews, share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Try to fight the almighty algorithm. Try to build a community here. If we do have a Patreon, patreon.com/PLD I try to get these up early there if I can. And we have a great Facebook community there as well. We have Austin Cattell, Brandon Buckingham, great crew. But if you can't, I get it. I totally get it. I do have another YouTube page where I podcast about movies, about TV, sci-fi TV, Star Wars, V. I do a series called Two Mediocre White Dudes on Film. We're headlong into Nightmare on Elm Street right now, the series of the great Robert Englund. But that will do it for us this week's folk. I'll see you next week. Until then, I hope you are doing all right. Bye.